What's up, guys? Auto Fanatic. So today's video, I'm going to show you the installation of the titanium two-piece Centerline Alfa Giulia stud kit. This will also work on the Stelvio as well. These are a very, very high-end stud kit, so this is going to make getting the wheels on and off, if you take the wheels on and off as much as I do, a hell of a lot easier. These are full titanium studs with rolled threads, very, very professionally made in America. The kit also comes with a nice new impact socket and a nice protective case. Pretty expensive kit. The reason people are doing these is to install spacers. Okay, like I show you here on any car. These are very popular on Porsches and BMWs as well. Is you want to get the length to install spacers. Why do you want spacers? Because your car's lowered, you have negative camber, now the wheels are pitched in, and you want to fill out the wheel arches a little bit more, and that's the same situation with my Alfa Romeo Giulia. So on the market, they only offer like 5mm spacers, 15, 20, 25, and a lot of those thicker, bigger ones are made for the Giulia TI, not for the Quadrifoglio. And the suspensions and the braking systems are totally different, as well as the offsets of the wheels. So what I did, if you see here on the table, I made a whole bunch of spacers. This is what wheel spacers start out as. These are solid billet 6061 slabs. And these are turned and milled into wheel spacers, as I show you here. So what I did, I made some 5mm, I made 7mm, and I made 10mm. Now, the reason why I went with 7 and 10 is because you can't buy them on the market for this particular car. The 5s are readily available, but being that I was already making them, I just did a whole batch for my personal car. So I don't know what we're going to do. I may do a 7 in the front, a 5 in the rear, a 10 in the front, a 7 in the rear. I don't know yet. So we're going to have to get this installed. I'm going to walk you through step by step on the preparation and the proper installation of these studs on my Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. And then I'm going to play around with different levels of spacers, front and rear. And then I'll turn the camera back on and I'll show you guys the before and after. But I'm going to grab the camera now and I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what I'm talking about regarding the stance and what we're trying to do here with the spacers. Of the visual between where the top of the tire is tilting in and where the fender lip meets. There's about a good 1.25 inches between here and here. So by putting the spacers, we're going to bump the wheel out just enough to hopefully line up with the fender on the car. And the same thing in the rear. You guys can see that there. I'm trying to get a little bit of a visual because the sun is out right now. But we're trying to get the wheels and tires flush mounted as much as possible with the fender lip of the car. Now, you don't want to over push the wheels out, because what's going to happen is you're just going to kick up rocks all over the side of your car and you're going to destroy your paint almost immediately. So we're trying to do a subtle change here. You can see that gap right there up on the top leading edge. So we're going to try to bump this out a little bit. We're going to get started by pulling the factory wheels off with a 17mm. You guys can see there, these are short little lug bolts. Okay. Take your lug bolts that you pulled off and put them to the side. Pull the wheel off. Alright guys, so I got the wheel pulled off, and before I go any further, I'm going to show you a simple step on how to clean up the threads inside the factory hub assembly. So we're going to sacrifice one of the OEM lug bolts, and I do not recommend going into the holes with a cutting tap. This is what you don't want to do. This is going to take up too much material, and it's just going to be a tolerance issue. I don't recommend a cutting tap. If you have a chase tap, that'll be fine, but it really depends on who's going to have a 14mm tap laying around. So we're going to get this thing set up. I'm doing this on the floor just to show you guys. We're going to lock it in my vise. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a groove down the middle of the threads, and that's going to actually be a good way to clean up the threads. Using my 3M cutoff wheel here, we're going to gradually just... So with this relief that I cut into the factory bolt, any debris is going to get caught as I spin it in and out of the hub assembly. So we're going to use this to do all of the clearance holes throughout the whole car. And I just wanted to show you guys quick. Do not use a tap. Take a bolt, sacrifice a bolt. If you don't have one, go to the hardware store and buy one, and just cut a groove in it like I show you there with the cutoff wheel, and this is going to work out great. So let's move back over to the car. Guys, we're back over at the car, so we're going to use my modified factory bolt. We're going to thread them in by hand. We're going to thread it in by hand. I'm going to use my battery-powered gun really slowly. Just want to go in and out of the holes, and I could already see some corrosion coming off from doing this. Those holes are perfectly clean. It's also a good time. I'm going to clean up the hub assembly as well, so we don't have any issues with the spacers going on and off and creating a corrosion stuck fit. So let me go get some stuff to clean that up right now. So I'm just going to clean the hubs up with just a brass wire brush. I guess this car was driven in the winter. Always check the mating surfaces as well, if there's anything on there. Before we go further, we're going to test fit a spacer over the hub. So here we go. And you guys can see there. We got the clearance hole for the stud, the factory locating stud, and it fits on and off perfect. So we're going to get prepped now and get these studs locked in there with the Loctite and torque to spec. So here we're using Loctite 243. I always recommend shaking it up. So just take your finger and pull it back. So what I like to do when I Loctite any kind of captive studs in, I get the dab on there like that, and I take my glove and I just push it all in. We're going to carefully thread these in by hand. So we're just going to, and then it's going to bottom out. You're going to know when you're there. Just a drop, just like that. This is a really nice kit, and the fact that it has rolled threads makes it go into the factory hub assembly a hell of a lot easier. And also the rolled threads make the studs a lot stronger than conventional cut threads. If anybody cares to know that, that's why it's done. And always have a shop towel laying around in case you need it. And 20 foot-pounds is not a lot, so you're just going to go down and hold the rotor until you click. Now on the rear, you're not going to have to hold the rotor. It's a lot easier, but on the front, that's that. Never use an impact gun on these. And if you go to the dealer for any kind of service work, always make sure you let them know these are not factory. Otherwise, damage will occur. So there you have it. That was pretty painless. Took a couple of minutes. You guys can see it there. They look good. They're in there strong. So like I said, we're not going to drive the car for about an hour. I want to let the Loctite settle up, and this will just show you So as you see there, spacers installed, and we still have enough meat on the factory hub. The factory hub that goes into the center bore of the wheel is about 14.5 millimeters. It's a lot deeper than most cars. That's why you could get away with doing the spacers as such without having the separate section that comes out and goes back into the wheel. And you can see there they fit nice and flush. And we're gonna get the wheel buttoned up. Those are the titanium studs installed. They look freaking so damn cool. And they're also gonna be better for corrosion resistance, lighter weight, easier to get your wheels on and off for servicing. And already the 7 millimeter on the front looks outstanding. I think that's gonna be where it's gonna stay. Dab a Loctite and roll it around the threads and use your glove to get off the excess. So I'm not sure which size I'm going to go with on the rear, 5 or 7, but carefully just line it up and you're good to go. You can see that there. Just get closer. And that's the right way to do spacers. I don't recommend using those universal ones that are slotted. They're sloppy. They're not hub-centric on your hub. I just don't recommend those. This is the way to go. Alright guys, so you saw the install of the Centerline Alfa Titanium Stud Kit, which replaces the factory lugs. It also gives you extra length so you can run spacers on your Alfa Romeo Giulia or Stelvio platform. So we ended up settling, or I ended up settling on a 7 millimeter spacer in the front and a 5 millimeter spacer in the back. That gave the best balance between aesthetic and fit. I didn't want to go too far because then you could risk rubbing. You could also get a lot of rocks thrown up on the side of the car. So when I put the 10 millimeters in the front, they looked really aggressive and cool, but they stuck out a little bit to the very edge. And then when I put the 7s and the 10s in the backs just stuck out too far and it looks stupid. So we got to kind of do it and balance it out. That's why I made a bunch of different sizes of spacers. Also, a lot of guys are probably going to be wondering, you're going to get rocks all over the side of your car. These are the Auto Fanatic custom made mud flaps. I've been running them on the car for months now. I will be posting those up in the store. So if any of you guys see this video and have interest in the front splash guards, send me a message to my website. I'm going to gauge some interest, deciding on how many I'm going to make for production. Also, if you guys are interested in the custom spacers, because like I said, they don't make these, a lot of the Alfa Romeo aftermarket vendors are not offering these sizes. I will make them for you, and I will also put a listing in my web store as well. If you guys have a lowered Alfa Romeo Giulia, no matter what spring set you want, and you want to get the offsets of the wheels to look a little bit better, this is what you're going to have to do. But now it looks a hell of a lot better, as you guys can see here. I'll get closer on the camera, and you can just see the fitment is now more in line with the fender edge, front and rear. You can see that there. So I think they look great. Another thing I noticed too is the steering got a little bit heavier in weight on the highway, like higher speed. It actually feels really, really good. I definitely think I'm going to throw it up on the rack and do another alignment now. Lugs, I mean, that just looks so freaking cool. So not only are they lighter weight, they just look better. They're going to make your servicing of your wheels, tires, brakes a hell of a lot easier. Just make sure if you bring it to a shop or an Alfa Romeo dealership, you let them know that these are aftermarket, or you really make sure that they don't put an impact gun on them, because they will cause damage to those studs. So the installation was pretty painless. I did the whole car in about 40 minutes start to finish, and you guys saw some tips and tricks as far as the preparation, as far as what I did with the factory OEM lug nut by cutting the groove in there to clean out the threads, because you don't want to use a tap, and you don't want to take off too much material at a factory hub. That's just going to cause an inconsistency with your installation. So hope you guys like this video. This is just another modification I did to my Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. If you guys have any questions or comments, post them in the comments section below. If you guys want a set of spacers or a set of front splash guards, please contact me direct at auto-fanatic.com, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay tuned for more.